When your cat suddenly hides under the bed, stops eating, or starts grooming itself until its fur falls out, do you really know what it's trying to tell you? Yes, it's strange, maybe even a little alarming. But behind that behavior, there's something far deeper than most people ever stop to notice. It's one of the most heartbreaking things your cat can experience. And if you keep doing what the majority of owners do without realizing, living your normal, everyday life without a single clue, you might be slowly eroding the sense of safety your cat depends on to survive. That's not an exaggeration. That's science. We're going to start with the one that surprises everyone, the habit that feels the most harmless, the one you did this morning, without thinking twice. Your unpredictable schedule is quietly breaking something inside your cat. Let me ask you something. What time did you wake up last Monday? And what time did you wake up this past Saturday? Different, right? Of course, you're human. Your life has rhythms that shift, weekdays and weekends, busy seasons and slow ones. That variability feels completely natural to you. But for your cat, it doesn't. What's really happening is this. Your cat doesn't experience time the way you do. It doesn't have a concept of weekend. It doesn't understand that you stayed out late on Friday. What it has, what it depends on, deeply and biologically, is pattern, predictability, the reliable repetition of events that tells its nervous system, the world is safe. Nothing is about to attack me. A study cited in research published on PubMed found that cats living in environments with minimal disturbance, reduced background noise, and predictable routines showed significantly more well-being behaviors and far fewer illness and hiding behaviors compared to cats exposed to high levels of disruption and unpredictable schedules. This wasn't a small difference. It was measurable, consistent, and directly tied to routine. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. For a cat, predictability isn't just comfort, it's survival. Cats evolved as both predator and prey. Every inconsistency in their environment is registered at a neurological level as a potential threat. When you don't show up at the same time and when breakfast comes an hour late, when Tuesday feels nothing like Monday, your cat's nervous system doesn't shrug it off. It activates. Cats experiencing inconsistent schedules can develop nervous behaviors, like excessive grooming, pacing, or hiding. They may vocalize more than usual or refuse to eat. Clear signals of distress that most owners attribute to mood or personality, never to their own schedule. Think about that for a second. You woke up at 7 a.m. on Monday and 10 a.m. on Saturday. That seems like nothing. For your cat, it was like the world shifted beneath its paws. It waited for you at 7. You didn't come. And it had no way to understand why. Every loud sound in your house is a predator to your cat's brain. Do you ever notice your cat disappear right after you run the blender? Or flatten its ears when the TV volume suddenly jumps? You've probably thought, drama queen. Or maybe you've just stopped noticing altogether. But what's actually happening inside that small, highly calibrated body is something the majority of people completely misread. A study evaluating elevated background noise as a stressor found more behavioral indicators of fear and stress. Negative ear positions, hiding, freezing, hypervigilance in cats during noisy periods compared to quiet ones. And crucially, the response was sharpest immediately after a shift from a quiet environment to a loud one. The sudden change, researchers noted, was more distressing than sustained noise. Your cat's auditory system was not built for a modern apartment. It was built for a world where a rustle in the grass could mean something was about to eat it. Its hearing range extends far beyond yours. It processes sounds at a speed and sensitivity that, in the wild, was the difference between life and death. Loud, unpredictable sounds, a slammed door, a construction drill outside, a laugh track exploding from your phone. These aren't just unpleasant for your cat. They're neurologically processed as danger signals, not because your cat is fragile, because it's exquisitely designed for a world that was much quieter than yours. You turned on the blender, then raised the TV volume, then the front door banged shut. For you, that was a normal afternoon. For your cat's nervous system, it was 3 consecutive danger alarms, one after another, with no explanation and no escape. Now imagine that happening every single day. When you ignore your cat, it doesn't think you're busy. It thinks you're gone. Here's one that's going to hit differently. Has your cat ever come to you, walked slowly across the couch, pressed its head against your arm, maybe made a soft sound while you were staring at your phone, and you just kept scrolling? Most owners have done this, not because they don't love their cat, because they're human and their phone was right there and the cat didn't seem to need anything urgent. But what actually happened in that moment is far more significant than it looked. Research consistently identifies weak human-animal bond as one of the primary drivers of feline anxiety. Not neglect, not cruelty. A weak bond, meaning insufficient, inconsistent, or unreliable responsiveness from the owner when the cat initiates contact. The cat comes to you, you don't respond. Over time, that pattern creates something your cat can't rationalize away. My safe person is unreliable. And a cat whose safe person feels unreliable is a cat that has lost something fundamental. Because for a domestic cat, you are not just their owner, you are their anchor. The fixed point in a world full of variables, the one presence that signals, this territory is secure. I am not alone. When you're on your phone while your cat presses against you, your cat isn't thinking they're distracted. It doesn't have the cognitive framework for distraction. What it has is an acute, embodied sense of whether you're there or not there. And a body that doesn't respond registers as not there. He came to you. He leaned against your arm. You kept scrolling. He walked away. That happened today. And yesterday. And the day before. Every time it happens, the trust account depletes just a little. And if you want to help more cat owners understand what their cats are really going through, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people who genuinely want to understand their cats, not just live alongside them. The next habit is the one most people defend hardest, because it's so obviously not their fault, until you see it from your cat's perspective. To your cat, your guests aren't visitors, they're invaders. Your friends came over. They were excited, talking loudly, moving things around, sitting in different spots on the couch, bringing unfamiliar smells into every corner of the room. Your cat disappeared under the bed for 6 hours, and you probably thought, shy cat, antisocial. That's just his personality. What was actually happening was survival mode. Researchers who study feline cognition are clear. Cats evolved as solitary hunters with defined territorial boundaries. Unlike dogs, who evolved in social packs and developed mechanisms for integrating new members, cats developed the opposite. A deep, hardwired sensitivity to territorial intrusion. A new person in the home isn't a social opportunity for your cat. It's a threat assessment. Studies confirm that anything new in the home environment will cause anxiety in cats. They feel safe in familiar spaces with familiar people. And when unfamiliar humans appear, move through their territory, alter the usual scent map of the home, and generate unpredictable noise, your cat system doesn't respond with curiosity. It responds with caution, sometimes with fear. What most people don't realize is that your cat isn't being antisocial. It's being rational, given everything its biology tells it. Retreating to a safe space when an unknown entity enters the territory is exactly the correct response. The problem isn't your cat's personality. The problem is that nobody told your cat that these particular strangers were safe. Your friends arrived animated and loud, rearranging the furniture with their bodies and voices. Your cat hid under the bed. You called it antisocial. It was in survival mode. That's not the same thing. Leaving your cat alone without enrichment is like locking a child in an empty room. 8 hours. That's how long you're gone most days. You leave in the morning. Your cat sits by the door for a while, then moves to the window. Then, what? What happens in hour 3, hour 5, hour 7? Most owners don't think about this because cats have a reputation for being independent, self-sufficient, unbothered by solitude. That reputation is one of the most damaging myths in pet ownership. Research published in Nature found that cats under chronic stress show significantly reduced behavioral diversity, meaning they stop doing the range of things a mentally healthy cat does and start doing fewer, more repetitive things. The same behaviors, looping, a sign that the mind is not being fed, A study from 2020 identified destructive behavior as the most frequent symptom in cats presenting with separation anxiety. Not howling, not visible distress, but destruction. The scratched sofa, the knocked-over plants, the shredded curtain. That isn't your cat acting out. That's your cat trying to survive boredom and anxiety with the only tools it has available. Because here's what the majority of owners never stop to consider. Cats are hunters. Not just by instinct, by neurological need. Their brains are wired to stalk, chase, catch, bite. When that system gets no input, no stimulation, no novelty, no movement to track, it doesn't go quiet. It turns inward. And the anxiety that builds in an understimulated cat is real, measurable, and over time physically damaging. Prolonged stress in cats has been linked to conditions like feline idiopathic cystitis and dermatological problems. Real physical consequences of emotional states left unaddressed. You worked 8 hours. Your cat was alone, no interesting window, no new toy, nothing to investigate. The scratched sofa you came home to wasn't spite. It was a cat trying to survive its own mind. You were never the villain. You just didn't have the right information. Here's what I want you to hold on to as this video ends. None of those 5 habits makes you a bad owner. Not a single one. They make you someone who cared about their cat without having the specific knowledge their cat needed you to have. And that's not failure. That's just the starting point. The gap between a stressed cat and a calm one is smaller than most people think. A consistent feeding schedule. A quieter environment when you can manage it. 5 minutes of genuine phone-down attention when your cat comes to find you. A window perch. A single new toy rotated weekly. These aren't grand gestures. They don't require money or sacrifice. They require only the awareness that you now have. Your cat doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be predictable. It needs to know that the most important variable in its world, you, is reliable. Present. There. That's what you actually are to your cat. Not just an owner, not just a food source. You are the whole of its felt sense of safety. The reason it sleeps in the same room as you. The reason it pressed its head against your arm, even when you were on your phone. It kept trying even without the words for it, even without a way to explain. This isn't just a cat going about its life. This is love. Quiet, unspoken, and completely real. Now you know how to receive it. Which of these 5 habits did you recognize in yourself? Comment below, no judgment here. We learn together.